When she opened her eyes again, she found herself standing in a different part of the greenhouse, surrounded by orchids that she had never seen before. She looked around in wonder, marveling at the colors and shapes of the plants around her. But as she turned to leave, she saw something that made her blood run cold. It was George, the ghostly figure she had seen before, standing at the end of the row of orchids. His eyes locked onto hers, and she could feel a cold dread creeping into her heart. But then, something strange happened. George's face softened, and he held out a hand to her, beckoning her closer. Alice felt a strange compulsion to follow him, and she walked towards him slowly, her heart pounding in her chest. As she reached out to touch his hand, she felt a strange sensation wash over her, like a warm breeze on a cold day. When she opened her eyes again, she was back in her own world, standing in the same spot where she had touched the purple orchid before. But everything had changed. The colors of the greenhouse had become more vibrant and alive, and the orchids all around her seemed to be pulsing with a newfound energy. She couldn't explain it, but Alice knew that something had shifted in the fabric of reality. They weren't actually orchids, in fact lost souls. That was the reason George's ghost was restless even after his death. He was. As she made her way back to David, she realized that this newfound discovery could change everything. With the help of the orchids, they could solve the mystery of the curse and free the spirits of the lost souls. It wasn't until Alice stumbled upon a dusty old book in the back of the greenhouse that they finally got their answer. The book was filled with ancient plant lore, detailing the history of the orchids and the curse that had befallen them. According to the book, the curse had been placed on the orchids by a powerful witch who had been wronged by the original owners of the greenhouse. Seeking revenge, she had used dark magic to trap the souls of the owners and their staff within the orchids, cursing them to an eternity of torment and despair. Alice and David knew that they had to break the curse. And so, they set to work, determined to unravel the mystery of the curse once and for all. As they worked tirelessly, experimenting with different combinations of orchids and studying ancient texts, they could feel the presence of the ghosts around them. They were growing stronger with each passing day, their spirits hovering just out of reach. But Alice and David refused to give up. They were determined to set the spirits free. Together, they worked tirelessly, experimenting with different combinations of orchids and documenting the effects. Slowly but surely, they began to unravel the mysteries of the curse, discovering the secrets that had been hidden away for generations. Finally, after weeks of research and experimentation, they discovered the key to breaking the curse. It required a complex blend of orchids, carefully cultivated and combined with a precise ritual. As they prepared to perform the ritual, they could feel the energy in the air crackling with anticipation. Alice could sense the presence of the ghosts around them, their spirits hovering just out of reach. With a final burst of energy, they completed the ritual, the orchids coming to life in a dazzling display of light and color. As the light faded, they looked around in wonder, realizing that the curse had been lifted. The spirits of the lost souls had finally been set free, and the greenhouse was no longer a place of darkness and fear. Instead, it was alive with the vibrant energy of the orchids, a symbol of hope and renewal. As they stepped outside, Alice couldn't help but feel a sense of awe and wonder at the power of the orchids. What would have happened if Alice had never discovered the purple orchid in the first place? Well, that is something I'd leave to you, my dear audience. Thank you for listening.